Okay guys, so I have posted this recipe on Pinterest several times. So now I'm just going to show you, well, once, but it's getting around. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make a really quick jambalaya. Since we did a quick recipe before, I'm going to do another quick recipe. Okay, and normally in a jambalaya you would use andouille sausage. I am not using andouille sausage, only because I don't want to. And andouille can be kind of pricey, so just use whatever sausage or link that you have in your house. Just use that, okay? And you're just gonna cut it. Just cut it all up, okay? Do as many as you want or as little as you want. When I make this dish, I make this typically solely for either my husband and my kids or my husband by himself. And normally it's typically my husband by himself. And he will take this for lunch. It's one of the few dishes that he'll actually eat. So go ahead and get all this cut up. And the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and locate the type of seasonings you want to use. Now my favorite seasoning is a Louisiana. It's like a rub. It's got all the good cayenne pepper and all that kind of good stuff in it already. And I am completely out of it. So I'm going to show you that it does not matter. And my husband is like a stickler for, he thinks everything changes, okay? Every time you make something, it changes. The recipe changes. Oh, you did this different or you did that different. And honestly, he can't tell that I no longer can find my favorite seasoning anywhere. But I think if I find it anywhere, it'd probably be at like a Central Market or a Whole Foods or something. It's one of those real fancy seasonings I found at a clearance grocery store. So I got it real cheap and I loved it, and now I'm out. But it comes in a little silver can. So if you guys have ever seen that seasoning, and I believe it's in the recipe on the blog post, please, please, please let me know where you got it. Okay, so we're just going to throw all of this meat right on into the skillet, okay? And I'm using 4 links. It's going to look like a whole lot of meat, even though it's not a lot of meat. And this way I get away with making something that looks like it took me a long time, even though it did not. Now, to the meat, and it's very important, this is going on the meat, the seasonings, initial seasonings, I should say. This is cayenne. Now, I know you guys are probably going, oh gosh, that's a lot of cayenne. Cayenne is kind of like a reactor. So it reacts to some of the other seasonings that you add to it. Okay? That's a Louisiana Cajun seasoning. This is this is the Tones Cajun seasoning. Okay? And it's going to look like a whole lot of seasoning. And that's really what you want it to look like. Okay? Really heavily seasoned. Trust me, it will not be too much in the end. Because you have to keep in mind there will be juices added to this. So we're going to go ahead and start cooking this. And while this cooks, I'll get the rest of the ingredients ready for you. Okay guys, so our meat is cooked, and you see how it's supposed to look? Just look done. That's it. Just cook it till it looks nice and done. Now, throw in some onions, bell peppers, celery, carrots. That's what I've done so far. And that's what I'm still doing right now. I'm throwing in the remainder of my celery. And I don't want it to cook all the way down. That's why I didn't do it in the beginning, okay? So, and this dish is going to do a lot of cooking. Alright, the next thing I'm going to add is I had some leftover chicken, okay? And this was like, I made a beer brine chicken the other day. And I'm going to do just a rough check. I pulled all the meat off the bone of one of my leg quarter pieces. And I had it sitting in the refrigerator. This is truly a leftover, okay? And I'm just going to throw that chicken in there, okay? Nice rough chop on it. Toss it in. And I'm going to let this cook together for just a couple of minutes, okay? Not long. I'll make sure all our chicken is all pulled apart. Anything that's not pulled apart, don't worry, it will cook down. Okay, I'm gonna let that cook for literally maybe 2 to 3 minutes on medium high heat. And the reason being is because I have more ingredients to add. Okay guys, so now I have my chicken, I have my meat of all natures. Okay, I have my links here, and I have my chicken, and I still have my vegetables that have not been cooked down that much. Please keep that in mind, because it doesn't have to be. It's okay. It's going to cook down later. The next thing we're going to add is just some tomatoes. 28-ounce can of tomatoes. Okay? I'm using diced here. You can use diced, stewed, whole, whatever. It's going to cook down slowly. This is one of those dishes that's slowly going to cook down, and it'll be delicious before you know it. Okay? Now, in this step, you see that this added a lot of juice. Okay? That juice is just washing away your seasonings. Okay? So what I like to do is add a little bit more seasoning. And this is cayenne that I'm adding now. I know you guys are going to be like, oh my God, fire. So I'm adding a little cayenne. And I'm going to add just a little bit of Louisiana seasoning. I'm not going to stir this, okay? I'm going to just let it sit there and cook down until those tomatoes get nice and in my food, okay? Now, while that's cooking down, I will go ahead and cook my rice. By the time my rice is ready, then I know that it's time to add my rice to the rest of my jambalaya mixture, okay? That's also the moment in which I like to add my shrimp. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cook down for a bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, so just like I told you, my rice is now ready. And look, I still have plenty of juice, okay? My tomatoes have cooked down a little bit. Now I'm going to add shrimp. And the shrimp is going to cook in here. I'm going to let it cook for 2 or 3 minutes and soak up some of this deliciousness. There we go. Now we have all the shrimp in. Okay. You can go ahead and devein and cut off the tails on your shrimp if it's not already done. Okay, so now it is loaded. I'm going to let it literally cook about 2 or 3 more minutes while I get my rice ready to go in. You can season your rice if you want to season your rice. If you're not a rice seasoner, or you feel like there's enough seasoning in this dish, don't worry about it. Throw a little cilantro or something in the rice to give it a little color if you want. If not, just dump the rice in. Okay guys, so you see how my shrimp has curled up? You can tell it's cooked now, okay? And it cooked in the juices, so it's going to soak up some of that flavor. Alright? Now it is time to dump in my rice. Notice I still have lots of juice. There's a reason for that. When I put this rice in, and it's okay if it's kind of sticky, like mine has been sitting over there waiting on me because I've been moving slow today. It'll be alright. Normally I have a nice white fluffy rice for you guys to see. And I am going to show you how to make the perfect rice one day in one of our videos. But right now, you're just going to stir this rice in. Okay. And like I said, you can season the rice if you want to season the rice. You don't have to season the rice. It's totally unnecessary. But now, you're just going to get this all worked together. Let it literally sit on simmer until the juices have cooked into the rice and everything looks delicious. Now, if you've been on the blog and you've seen the jambalaya before, I think the jambalaya in the blog post only has like the sausages and chicken in it. This is so that you know that you're not limited to that, okay? You can cover this if you want, but it's going to create more juice if you do. So you can just leave this pot open and just let it cook. But literally, this is what you're left with, okay? If you want to season it a little more, you can. Taste it. Everything in it is done, okay? You're just letting it all cook together and letting the flavors marry and cooking the juice out of it a bit more so that you have a nice tight jambalaya and that rice won't be white anymore, okay? And that's exactly what you want. You want your rice to kind of marry into it and you have a delicious jambalaya.